Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus Mame review. Today we're going to be taking a look at X-Men, released on February 12th, 1992 in the arcade. This was a 6-4 or 2-player arcade game depending on which version of the cabinet you're actually playing on, and here's your intro. Okay, and the version I'm actually going to be playing on right now is the 4-player arcade version. As you can see, the 4-player slots on the top. Select Wolverine here.
In the 21st century, evil mutants led by Magneto aim to destroy the world. Humans can do nothing against the power of the evil mutants. The only hope is X-Men.
Go and save the city.
Okay, the reason why I chose the 4-player version of this game is in this version of the game you can actually choose which character you want to be, whereas in the 6-player, kind of in the same vein as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, each player is actually assigned to a character slot. So for instance, player 1 is always a certain character, player 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is a certain character. So when you actually look at the control panel on the arcade machine, each one actually has a character's name and picture on it. So this way I can still be player 1 and show you all the characters without having to actually set up a controller to be different player controls, so I don't have to do that to just show you different characters. And this game is actually a 3-button layout. Each character will have the jump, attack, and mutant power button. And sort of just like in the game Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Manhattan Project on the Nintendo Entertainment System, when you do your mutant power, you actually use some health. A little while ago, if you saw me very closely, I did that thing where Wolverine really did his claws really quick, and like these flashy things came out of them. That's his mutant power. And another thing I actually noticed is each actual character has their own jump kicks. There's 2 of them. One if you just press jump and attack right away, and then another if you press jump then attack at the apex of their jump. They kind of do this swooping down jump. And for the most part in this game, all the enemies consist of these sentinels, which personally I watched the cartoon a lot, and I remember seeing the sentinels in the cartoon all the time, and they always had to fight them. But of course, the designs of the characters here are more reminiscent of the original comic book characters than they are of the cartoon, because they're all colored in the way the original comic book characters were, whereas the ones in the cartoon were, I believe, an updated version of the X-Men. Now you'll notice there's two of these guys, the green guys and the red guys. The green guys kind of have that gun that they have to shoot up, and then the red guys have the gun they shoot forward. So it's the one the green guys have is kind of like a mortar gun, where you hold it up and then it shoots up in the air and hits you. And of course here's Pyro. I think he says something. He says something around the lines as Pyro is gonna get you or something. Like Pyro will tear you or burn you or something like that. You can correct me if you know exactly what he says. Now, back in the day when this game was released, there were no actual console ports of this. And of course, it's been brought up in several videos, like Angry Video Game Nerd's X-Men video, where he mentions if they can do as well as they did with Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time on Super Nintendo, then really why couldn't they bring this to the Super Nintendo? Because this game would have been excellent. Just think of using your 4-player adapter, and you could have had 4 players playing at once on the Super Nintendo. Or even in a 2-player fashion, it still would have been a great game on the console. But not until 2010 would we actually see a home version. Well, of course, other than playing on a main like I am right now. On December 14th of 2010, the enhanced, in quotes, the enhanced PlayStation Network version was released, and then on December 15th of 2010, the enhanced Xbox Live Arcade version. The reason I say enhanced is I've actually seen the graphics of the Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network version, and just like a lot of the quote-unquote HD remake games, as they call them, Street Fighter, the high-definition version of Street Fighter notwithstanding, most of them are just basically the game, but with a little bit of a smoothing filter put onto it. Only a few, like the Street Fighter HD remake and Double Dragon, which actually did get a kind of a redrawn character sprites, but as you've seen in my Double Dragon video, they were a little bit more cartoony. But most of your Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network enhanced ports are basically just take the arcade graphics and let's just put some smoothing filter on it. Although most of the voices were re-recorded, and if you saw there, that was Storm's mutant power. She throws tornadoes, and as you can see there, my health actually lost, like, I think it's like about 3 or 4 pieces of health, and as you can see her swooping down like that, that's the jump I mentioned earlier, where if you hit the attack button like at the apex of your jump, you'll actually swoop down. And the other thing I didn't mention right away was, if your enemies are on the ground and you hit the attack button while you're by them, you'll notice how Storm takes her shocky thing and she hits them and kills them. Every character has a down move, and Wolverine's is like, he'll just take his claw and start like clawing at them like mad. And what I thought was cool about this part here is these little fire things coming out of the ground, the enemies can actually get hurt on them, which a lot of games you play, like, there'll be hazards and the enemies aren't actually hurt by them too. I don't know why, but with Storm, I like the kick she does as soon as if you press jump and then attack right away, she does that like crazy vertical kick. I just thought that was really cool. And as you saw, 2 of the Sentinels just got taken out by the flames, so that's really cool. And what's cool about these armored guys is when you actually defeat them, their armor comes off, and you can see they're just regular dudes with armor on and a gun. So there's nothing really special about them. I always like the beat-em-up arcade games. I've probably said this in just about every beat-em-up arcade game main review I've ever done, but I've always liked these beat-em-up arcade games. They're just those games that you like going to the arcade when you're young, and you just be playing the game and like people jump in and jump out. That's another thing that the quote-unquote home versions of this game support, is the jump in and jump out multiplayer online, which a lot of people really don't like the fact that you have unlimited continues, so it just kind of cheapens the experience. And if you saw that real quick, that was, here's Colossus, and that was his as soon as you press attack and you hit jump, he does that thing where it looks like he's kind of skipping, in my opinion. And if you press jump attack at the apex of his jump, he'll do that thing where he takes both of his hands and hits them down. So like the double hammer. But I just think it's so funny that it looks like he's skipping. And there's Colossus. He just like kind of pounds the guy on the ground because he's like this big, strong metal dude. I don't know if you saw that a few minutes ago, but I did that move where he puts his hands out and all this energy comes out. That's his mutant move. And there's some more Colossus skipping action. I just think he looks like he's skipping. If anybody else thinks that too, just let me know, because it looks like he's just like doing a jaunty skip, which just kind of looks funny for such like a big tough character as Colossus. Oh, and I didn't mention, for the iTunes App Store, they released a version of this game as well on June 2nd, 2011, that you could download on your iPod for $3, $2.99. Which more or less, of course, was the same game as this, but with on-screen touch controls. Which I've tried playing some of the arcade games they've released on iPod Touch, and I just find it kind of weird. I guess if I played it a while, I probably could get used to it, but it's just kind of weird. And the first time I had actually got attacked by that weird thing that shot all the missiles, it just kept shooting me, and I actually destroyed them all as Wolverine. But I thought you had to destroy them all, but it seems like it's only a certain amount of time it'll actually attack you. It's not like getting down a certain amount of health. But here's Dazzler. Now I can honestly tell you, before playing this X-Men game, I had no idea who Dazzler was, and even after playing it again this time so long after playing it in the arcade, I was still not sure until I really read. Like, I had the Wikipedia page pulled up that she was an X-Men that was made in 1980. And as you can just see with her mutant power there, where she threw that thing on the ground, her mutant power was to convert sound vibrations into light and energy beams. I think that's funny. Nothing moves the blob. He just sounds so funny. But yeah, it looks like from what I was reading on Wikipedia is it was supposed to be a cross-promotional type of thing with Casablanca Records and Marvel Comics, but of course the tie-ins were dropped rather quickly. She was supposed to originally be a disco singer, but then she eventually like did rock and adult contemporary because they kind of had to stay with the times. And people familiar with the X-Men cartoon or the later X-Men will notice that, yeah, this is the original Cyclops, as opposed to how he looked in the later comics, where you can actually see his hair and he doesn't have the thing all over his hair. And I can honestly tell you, I didn't notice that you can actually pound on the blob while he's on the ground for a while, so you'll see a lot of times I'm fighting him here, and I just won't do anything while he's on the ground. I'll just kind of wait for him to get up. And I can honestly say, you'll probably notice several times where I suffer from the same thing as,
X-Men. We have been taken by Magneto. However, we had time to locate their base on Island M. Destroy it.
Yeah, I was just being quiet there so you could hear the voice from the cutscene, because considering this is a 1992 arcade game, I think the digitized voice was actually done really well here. But as I said, in those updated console versions, they added some new voices, and from what I understand, some of the original voice actors reprised the role. But what I was saying is, I found myself suffering from the same thing that people were complaining about the enhanced console ports, that you have unlimited continues by default, so you find yourself using your mutant power too much. Now, I didn't really spam it too much as people tend to do online on the console versions. I really only did that when I was like in a boss battle and I'm about to win, because no matter what happens, if you beat the boss, you will regain all your health. And I didn't mention it right there, but Cyclops' power, of course, was him shooting the laser vision, as he always did in every X-Men, everything that he's ever been in. And of course, here's Nightcrawler, and there's more of those green and purple punchy guys like in the first level, and then you got these alligator guys. And I think Nightcrawler's attack is really cool in this game, that he has the one where he goes zigzags across the screen, and basically anything in his path gets more or less destroyed. And you'll notice right there, the sentinel on the top of the screen wasn't in my path, so it didn't hurt him. That's the only slight drawback with his attack, is if you're not like right in the middle of the screen, everybody on the screen doesn't die, so it is a little bit of a problem, but not really too bad. And I definitely have to say, if you never played this X-Men game before, this is definitely one to play, especially if you have friends. If you want to play the console versions, those are a good representation of this game. Of course, if you have Mame and you have a bunch of friends that you could play with, you could even grab the 6-player version if all 5 of your friends have a favorite character, because, you know, as I mentioned earlier, with the 6-player version, you're stuck with whatever character you decide to choose. So, as the knight said in Indiana Jones, choose wisely because it'll be your only character. And of course that brings us all back to Wolverine here. Which I remember how the Angry Video Game Nerd complained about his claws. And the good thing is they're always out in here and you can use them, so it's pretty cool. So definitely play this X-Men game. It's an awesome game. It's a great beat-em-up game. If you're into beat-em-up arcade games, which is one of my favorite arcade genres, I really cannot recommend this one more. It does get a little repetitive, but if you're into these kind of games, you kind of come to expect that. So, see the next cutscene, and I will see you in the next part if you want to see it. Bye.